In this video, we're going to talk about capitalization. Capitalization can be tricky. While the basic rules are easy, you will always find something that makes you stop and wonder. If you have a question about whether or not a word or phrase should be capitalized, consult a dictionary. If there is disagreement, be consistent in your capitalization. If the word is used in the same context, whether or not you decide to capitalize. In this chapter, we will go over some primary capitalization conventions, but mainly we're going to go over some of the more confusing aspects of capitalization. Basic rules. Here are some easy ones. Capitalize the first word of a sentence. Always be consistent in your capitalization. Always capitalize phrases or clauses that are used as complete sentences. Enough said. Also, capitalize an independent question within a sentence. The question is, did you or did you not steal the car? Always capitalize the pronoun I, as well as I've and I'm and I'd. You'd be surprised how many students in the forums forget to capitalize I. Capitalize proper nouns and proper adjectives. A common noun is a person, place, or thing, or idea. A proper noun is a specific person, place, thing, or idea, and we always capitalize proper nouns. What is the difference between a common noun and a proper noun? Well, proper nouns tend to be names of people, names of places, names of food, anything specific tends to, and ethnicities, nationalities, names of countries, continents, those all tend to be all proper nouns. And so here, like the King of England would be a proper noun. A common noun would just simply be the word king. So King of England, king. That's the difference. Whereas a common noun is just simply a person, place, or thing. So you see the difference between common noun, boy, proper noun, Michael, common noun, school, proper noun, Wilson High School. So when you name it, then it becomes a proper noun. So here's the name of the school versus just the school. Here you have the soup, which is a common noun, versus the name of the soup, which is a proper noun. Then you just have a regular computer, which is a common noun, versus the name of the computer, which is Apple computer. Theory, which is a common noun, and the name of the theory of relativity. Newspaper, and a common noun, and then the New York Times newspaper. Magazine, which is a common noun without a name, but then when you name it, 17 magazine. In this case, magazine is not actually part of the name of the magazine, therefore it is not capitalized or italicized. The next specific rules are more specific about proper nouns. Capitalize cities, states, countries, continents, oceans, islands, streets, mountains, forests, and regions of the country. Examples: Boston, Massachusetts, France, Asia, Pacific Ocean, Bahamas, Jones Street, Rocky Mountains, Sherwood Forest, New England, the Midwest. Capitalize the names of clubs, teams, and government bodies. Boy Scouts, New York Mets, House of Representatives. Capitalize holidays, events, and historical periods. Thanksgiving, Sonoma County Fair, Bronze Age, Civil War. Capitalize the names of nationalities, races, and peoples. Japanese, Native American, Aztecs. Capitalize the name of businesses and brand names. First Union Bank, Kleenex tissues. Capitalize the name of ships, trains, spacecraft, and aircraft, like the Enterprise, for Star Trek. Mayflower, Gemini, Spirit of St. Louis. Those are all names of ships. Capitalize the names of buildings and other structures. Empire State Building, Hoover Dam. Capitalize the names of awards, monuments, and memorials. Nobel Peace Prize, Washington Monument, Lincoln Memorial. Capitalize religions, holy books, and some deities. Buddhism, the Bible, Allah, God. Note that the word God is not capitalized when it refers to a mythological god. Capitalize planets, stars, constellations, and other heavenly bodies. Jupiter, the Milky Way, Orion's belt. Note that the sun, moon, and often earth are not capitalized. Capitalize a person's title if it comes before the name. Mr. Jones, Abbott Mayor Dunn, President Seymour. Capitalize a word that shows a family relationship if it comes before the name or is used in place of the name. Aunt Joan, or but Joan, my aunt. Mom, Grandma Wallace, but my grandma. So let's practice some capitalization. So here you always capitalize I love the spring because, so circle any word that is incorrectly capitalized or something that's not capitalized. So I needs to be capitalized. Spring does not need to be capitalized because the weather begins to get warm. The 4th of July. So 4th of July is an event, so this needs to be capitalized. That's pretty obvious, needs to be capitalized. Going to visit, and then aunt for Aunt Joyce. So family relationships needs to be capitalized. Aunt and I'm. I think Mayor Jost will win the election again. We don't need to capitalize election unless you say that the 2016 election. So if it's like a historical event, then you have to capitalize it. I think there will be a full moon tonight. There's no need to capitalize moon unless you're saying the moon, the Chinese Moon Festival. Then you would capitalize it. The Celtics basketball team won the championship this year, or that year. Okay, that's okay. In history class, we are learning about the Greek gods. The gods does not need to be capitalized. Mike Scott is the new mayor of our city. Yeah, that looks right. The President of the United States is about to make a speech. That whole sentence is right. We traveled over the Rocky Mountains on our vacation and we stayed in a really nice hotel. We has to be capitalized because it's the first word in a sentence. Hotel does not need to be capitalized unless it's a name of a hotel, like the Hilton Hotel. The question is, what time should we leave? If the question is inside a sentence, you need to capitalize what. Until we meet again. It's a title. Therefore, you have to capitalize you, we, meet, and again. Until we meet again. It's a song. It's a song title, way before your time. More capitalization rules. Here are some less obvious but very important capitalization rules. Titles. There are several styles in capitalizing titles, book titles, movie titles, chapter titles, headlines. Capitalize the first word only. Capitalize the first letter of every word. Capitalize every letter. The most common and traditional style, however, is as follows. Capitalize the first letter of all words with these exceptions. Articles a and the, unless the article is the first or last word of the title. First and last words are always capitalized. Coordinating conjunctions, for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. Be careful because sometimes yet and so can be used as adverbs. Prepositions of 4 words or fewer, such as in, out, by, with, for, as, to. Make sure you always capitalize the words is, am, are, was, and always capitalize other forms of the verb to be. They are short, but they are verbs. Verbs are always capitalized in titles. Do not capitalize south, north, east, and west when they are directions. However, do capitalize them when they refer to a geographic area. Head south down Broadway. The population in the South, so now that if you want to talk about in the population in the South, then you capitalize it, is growing. He comes from Southern California. He is from the Midwest. Letter, email, salutations. The first words of both greetings and closings of letters, memos, emails are capitalized. Many times all the words in a greeting are capitalized because they are titles or names. Dear Mayor, Dear Sir, Dear Mr. Smith, to whom it may concern. And so here you have to capitalize the D, and the T. Sincerely yours, yours truly. Thank you is not really an appropriate closing to a letter. If you say thank you, make it a sentence and put a period after it. Then put a more appropriate closing. Avoid the sentence, thank you in advance. Earth. Many people feel that earth should always be capitalized, except when it refers to dirt. But this is not the case. Earth is capitalized when it is used in a sentence with other heavenly bodies that are capitalized. Jupiter and Saturn are larger than Earth. Otherwise, you can use lowercase for Earth. Alternatively, you can choose to capitalize Earth when it is not preceded by the. Life on Earth is relatively new in the scheme of the cosmos. So when you are referring to Earth as part of outer space or as part of cosmic bodies, then you capitalize it. When you want to talk about the rich earth of the garden, then you don't need to capitalize it. We need to save the resources of the earth for future generations. And so here, if you're just talking about earth in general, although I think I would capitalize this. So this, I think, should be up to the person. I think in general, you capitalize Earth when you're referring to Earth as a planet, and when you're referring to Earth as a heavenly body. And then if you're referring to Earth as dirt, like this Earth isn't very fertile and doesn't grow a lot of plants. If you can interchange the word Earth with soil, then you don't need to capitalize it. Seasons. Seasons are not capitalized. The months, days of the week, and holidays are capitalized, but seasons are not capitalized unless they are part of a title. I would say that summer is my favorite season. Are you going to the Snowflake Winter Festival next weekend? So here, when the season is part of a title, Snowflake Winter Festival, then you capitalize it. But if you're just talking about summer in general, then it's just a common noun. So I would say that summer is my favorite season. This is a common noun. This becomes a proper noun once it becomes the name of something. Now, some proper nouns have become so common that they are no longer capitalized. So like French fries, Roman numerals. It is best to consult a dictionary to see if other words such as these are capitalized. President of the United States and other titles are capitalized when they precede and are thus part of a name. Otherwise, they are generally lowercase. Listen when Mayor Jones is speaking. So here, Mayor Jones is a proper noun because you're naming someone. But if you're not going to name Jones, then you're just talking in general of any mayor. Then it becomes a person, place, or thing. Then it becomes not capitalized. Just like aunt is not capitalized unless you say Aunt Jones or Aunt Mimi or Aunt Betty. Mayor Jones would be capitalized. Mayor Smith would be capitalized. But then mayor is not capitalized. And then if you just say the company president is resigning without saying who it is, then this is a common noun and it's not capitalized. But if you say President Jones of ABC Company and you name the person, then you capitalize it. You should vote to re-elect President Jones. So this is also capitalized. The president will be going by as the parade passes the White House. In this case, the reason why we capitalize president, even though there's no name, is because we are referring to the U.S. president, to the United States president. So anytime we refer to the United States president, even if we don't mention his name, we capitalize it. Departments. Company departments are generally not capitalized unless they refer to the writer's own company. I spoke to the credit department about my bill. The advertising department is meeting in 5 minutes. So that means that if the author works for whatever the name of the company, then you advertise it. Then you capitalize it. So that means that whomever wrote this sentence is an advertiser. And so therefore the advertising company or the advertising department gets capitalized. The names of languages are always capitalized in course titles. Otherwise, general course titles are not capitalized, but the names of specific classes like ENGL 101, ENGL 105, or English 105, English 101. So then English, the E in English is capitalized. So I am taking French, Math, World History 2, Art. So the difference is French is capitalized because it's the name of a nationality. So therefore, and the name of a language. So therefore, the names of languages are always capitalized. But Math and Art, if I say I'm taking Math 122, then it's capitalized. If I simply say I'm taking a math class, it's not capitalized. If I say I am taking a world history class, that's not capitalized. If I say I'm taking World History 1 and World History 103, so if I'm being specific in what world history class I'm taking, then I capitalize it. If I just say I'm taking art history, that's not capitalized. But if I say I'm taking art history 1, art history 101, that's capitalized. Same thing with science. If I simply say I'm taking a science class, that's not capitalized because then it's a compound noun used as an adjective. So then you don't need to just like you don't capitalize adjectives, you see. So but if I say I'm taking Science 101 or Science 223 or Science 500, yeah, you get to the 500s when you're a senior in college. And then when you're a freshman, you take the Science 100. And then when you're a junior or a sophomore and a junior, you take, so basically all the 100, Science 100, English 100, that's all for first year college. Second year college should be like English 200, Science 200. By the time you get to be senior, it's English 400 or 500, that sort of thing. So the higher the number, the higher you are in college usually. So basically, as soon as you have a specific course, you got to capitalize it. Decades. Do not capitalize the names of decades and centuries unless they are special expressions. The 20s, the 21st century. There's not a special expression. But if you were to say the Roaring 20s, the Roaring 20s means that during the 1920s, economy was booming, and people like F. Scott Fitzgerald was able to make a lot of money. So people were rich and people had big parties. I don't know if you ever watched The Great Gatsby. So when it's the name of a certain time period, then you have to capitalize it. Dog breeds. Dog breeds are generally not capitalized unless there is a proper noun or adjective in the name. That word is then capitalized. And so here, German is capitalized because it is the name of a nationality. Boston is capitalized because it's the name of a place. So if it's a word that's already capitalized, then you have to capitalize it. Otherwise, you don't have to capitalize it. For example, poodle. Words that come before numbers. Do not capitalize the word line, paragraph, page, note, step, but do capitalize chapter, figure, and room. So usually you capitalize the chapter because it refers to a specific chapter in a book. And then page 550, well, that's part of the chapter, so therefore you don't have to capitalize it. Room 110, the dress is size 8, and go back to step 10. Hyphenated words. If a capitalized word happens to be hyphenated, the second part of the word is not usually capitalized. I live on 34th Street. If in a hyphenated word, capitalize only the part of the word that is a proper noun or proper adjective. So here, 34th Street, you capitalize 30 because it's a number. He is a Spanish-speaking student. And so Spanish-speaking, you capitalize the first word, but you don't capitalize the second word. Actually in this case, Spanish, because it's the name of a nationality, and therefore every time you have the name of a nationality, you have to capitalize it. Some of the words in these sentences should be capitalized and others are not. Others are not capitalized and should not be. Circle any word that is incorrectly capitalized or incorrectly not capitalized. Some sentences may be correct as they are. I like my French fries with ketchup and my French toast with butter only. Okay, French fries does not need to be capitalized because it's so cliche and common. Whereas, strangely enough, French toast, just the French, needs to be capitalized because it's the name of a nationality. I know, how strange is that? I did my report on the differences between Mars and Earth. That's correct. Dear sirs, sirs has to be capitalized. Yours truly, and I would capitalize the truly, although that's up to you. We are voting for class president today. And so here, president does not need to be capitalized because there's no name. The only time you capitalize the president without a name is when you're referring to the U.S. president. Please turn to, and then you have to put a big C, capitalized chapter 6. You don't have to capitalize page 111. I've just found out I need to take an algebra class to graduate on time. Oh, yeah, algebra what? So this does not need to be capitalized because unless you say I'm taking algebra 1, algebra 2, then you capitalize it. We need to stop the destruction of Earth by controlling climate change. So here, I would capitalize Earth. But here, this book says you don't capitalize it. The only time, for me, I always capitalize Earth when it's referred to as a planet. The only time I don't capitalize Earth is when it's interchangeable with soil. Sometimes I wish I lived back in the 30s because I love the fashion. So here, the 30s is not a particular, like Roaring 20s. It's not a particular name. So therefore, 30s does not need to be capitalized. I heard that Algebra 2 is a very difficult class. That you got to capitalize algebra because it refers to a specific class. My friend just wrote a book called The Color of My Dress is Blue. So here, of does not need to be capitalized. Is needs to be capitalized because you always capitalize the verb is. I just adopted an Alaskan Malamute from the local shelter. So Alaskan has to be capitalized because that's the name of a state. So it's always capitalized. But Malamute does not need to be capitalized. The meeting is in room 715. So here, room has to be capitalized. I am trying to make some Irish stew for dinner tomorrow night. And Irish always has to be capitalized because it's a nationality. I can tell from her accent she is from the South. And when North, East, South, and West refers to a geographic region, then you have to, just like if I say, I live in the West, I live in California, then West has to be capitalized. But if I say drive west on Wilshire Boulevard, then you don't have to capitalize West, only when it refers to a geographic region. Back to the Future is one of my favorite movies. Yeah, that's correct. I was so young, I barely remember President Carter. Here, it's the name of a title, of someone's title, so you have to capitalize President. She moved to West 445 West 33rd Street. Yeah, that's correct. She is from Mid, Texas. Yeah, so you don't need to capitalize Mid, but you have to capitalize Texas. I read A Tale of Two Cities last week. So here, that's correct. Oh, sorry, two. You got to capitalize two. So anyway, then you see the appendix G for answers. So if you have any questions, and then there's more of this, more test. So if you have any questions, feel free to email me anytime. So that's the end of this particular video on capitalization.